Hi there, I'm Mark Wilbur, and it's Friday again, and so I'm talking about phonics again, because if your students can't understand the sounds you're making, they probably can't understand you, and they probably don't know English that well either. Last time I talked about long vowels, like vowel makes a long vowel sound, or vowel consonant vowel makes a long vowel sound. When I was little in kindergarten, my teacher used to say, when two vowels go walking, the first one does all the talking. I think most native English speakers are familiar with that, but I went into a bit of detail, like do you know which two long vowels to use together to make a long A sound? If not, maybe it's worth it to go back, check the last video, and then come back here. This time I'm going to talk a little bit more about the spelling system I used, or phonics system, that involved kind of reverse quizzes, or not reverse quizzes, but kind of backwards from the way most people do it. I gave students quizzes on words that I had never taught them, and hopefully words that they had never even heard before. And I accepted any phonetic spelling. So if a student spelled the word sleigh as S-L-A-Y, that was okay, or S-L-E-I-G-H was fine. And of course, since there's words that students had never heard before, I had to accept any phonetic variation. So if the word was right, actually R-I-T-E, R-I-G-H-T, those are both fine. Let's say the word was something like fail, and they spelled it F-A-L-E. I accepted that because it was phonetic. What doing these quizzes did over the long run is students got used to listening and using their ears, and learned how to hear the sounds that I was making, like whatever English vowel and consonant sounds. And as a result, their pronunciation got better. And when they made spelling mistakes, their mistakes were more likely to be like the mistakes that a native English speaker, or in my case, North American, would make. And beyond that, when they heard new words, especially when they got to a higher level and they'd done this for a long time, when they heard new words, they had an easier time looking them up, they had an easier time remembering them, they had an easier time distinguishing between different words that might have different pronunciations but sound similar to native Chinese speakers in this case, because I was teaching native Chinese speakers. Um, I've taught over 1,000 students, and I had much better results after I started using this system than what I had before. And I should mention that this is definitely a case where I'm standing on the shoulder of giants. My old boss and mentor, Ron, made a lot of improvements over what other schools were doing at the time. He made a pretty fleshed out phonics and oral spelling drill system that I built off of myself. So a lot of what I know because of Ron, and I enjoyed working at his school first step and learned quite a bit there. So definitely give credit where it's due. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do today is talk about the next spelling pattern, which is K versus CK. Like we all know that K can make a K sound and CK can make a K sound. For example, deck uses CK, bike uses a K. Do you know when you use CK, when you use K? If not, then keep watching. Okay, last time I talked about the spelling patterns for long vowels, whether if it's a vowel or vowel consonant vowel, but I didn't talk about what I did for new classes. Like think like 8-year-olds who have never really studied English seriously before. Like they probably know most of the alphabet, but not all of it. Obviously for them, you can't throw all the short and long vowel sounds at them on day one and quiz them on words they've never heard before. Because the goal is not to shatter the egos of 8-year-olds. The goal is to have them gradually build skills and feel okay about themselves as people and like English. The first day the first quiz, I just used the short A sound, just A, no other vowel sounds. I do A, B, C, D, and T. T was to contrast with D. D is voiced, T is not voiced. It's actually really useful, and it also makes it possible to get 10 words. Every quiz had 10 words. So I might have like bat, even fake words like bab are okay, back. And as I'll teach today, even if English had a word like cack, it would have to be spelled with a CK. You couldn't have it with a K. Dat, tab, cad, cab, bad. Is that 10 yet? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's actually okay to repeat one that I usually, well, no, I wouldn't do that on the first day of class. So we'll throw in cat, even though they all part it before. That's okay on class number 1. Then I would give the students a lot of time. So I would say the first word is bat, bat, bat. And if it took them up to a whole minute to write it down, that was okay. In my opinion, it's well worth the time you spend to get the students listening for phonics sounds. I also taught them to tell me to wait. I believe wait was in the first 20 words that I ever taught my students. So I would say, number 2 is bab, bab. 3 is back. 4 is cack. 5 is dat. And students would just be freaking out until one of them was like, wait! And that's a really good thing. Teaching them to tell me to wait when they need more time makes it easier to go a bit faster and still not be leaving them behind. And it's pretty easy to see when a student hasn't done their homework and hasn't listened to their CDs, they're trying to abuse it, versus when they're just really trying to hear the sound and they need some more time. So obviously there are limits, but I always tried to err on the side of too much time instead of not enough. So at the end of the quiz, I would read all the words one more time. So I'd say 1 was bat, 2 was bab, 3 was back, through all of them, and students could say, what was number 7? What was number 3? This is some of the first English that I taught them to say, but for very new classes, they wouldn't know how to say it in English. I let them ask me in Chinese. For me, my goal was not to minimize the Chinese that they heard or spoke. My goal was to maximize the amount of English that they heard and understand and learn how to speak. So that would be quiz number 1. Then the second quiz, I might add on a short E sound and also F, G, and H. So we've got words like fed or get or hat or had. And then each subsequent quiz, I would usually add one more vowel sound, get the short vowels until they've got most of the letters, and then I would throw in the long vowels. In general, students early students have an easier time with long vowels than with short vowels, because it makes sense. If you say this thing is an A and you pronounce it as A, this is an E, it's pronounced as an E, I it's pronounced as I, and O and U. It's a little bit harder if you say this is ah, eh, ah. See, even I just got it wrong. Alright, so today's spelling pattern is the k sound. When do we use a K? And when do we use a CK? It's actually a pretty simple pattern. I may have given it away by the words I showed you in the quiz. If it's a short vowel that precedes the k, you use CK, like deck, or pick, or back, or all kinds of words. And if it's a long vowel, then it's a K, just a K. So now you may say, well, this is a vowel consonant, E. What if it's 2 vowels together? Same thing. 2 vowels together, like meek, is also just a K. Not a C, not a CK, just a K. This isn't a hard and fast rule. Obviously, in English, we have words that come from all kinds of different languages, all kinds of loan words. So no phonetic rule is 100%. But in general, if you have a short vowel plus a k sound, whoops, then it's going to be a CK. And if you have a long vowel plus a k sound, then it's going to be a K. Okay, that's about it for today. If any of you do try this kind of oral spelling drill in your classes or for your private classes, I would be interested in hearing how it goes for you. I realize this is pretty different from what most EFL teachers do, especially in Asia. A lot of people are really focused on memorizing the words and, well, just memorizing how to spell the words as opposed to general phonics skills. But I might be able to help out, or or maybe you'll only be able to use pieces of what I've gone over. If you use these quizzes, I would recommend making half of the words right be the general passing mark. So if they get 5 out of 10, they pass. In my experience, almost every student can pass the very first quiz if you do it like I showed you. And over time, I'd say 75% should be passing each quiz once you've got harder and harder things you're throwing at them. If you're teaching more slowly, of course, you could have a higher level. If you're teaching faster, it could be slower. But keep in mind, this is stuff that they have never heard before. This is not like a normal test that you can study for and memorize all the answers to. So anyway, if you use it, good luck. I hope that all of you have gotten something out of this. If you have, please like the video and like the blog post and join the stream. I just like everything I produce, and that would be awesome.